What's up, everybody? How are you all today? Today, we are going to talk about a very, very serious topic, and that's why I have the orange glow going on. We're going to talk about the link between back pain, your back pain, and early death. Because this is actually a topic that's very near and dear to our hearts, my brother and I, Rad. So before we get started, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Yanni Bormeister, if we haven't met. To my right, your left is my brother Rad Bormeister, and below us is our business partner, Richard Lellies, aka Richard the Rig, head coach to Unify Movement System and Unity Gym. And I just noticed that we've got the ADPT physio branding up there. We may as well if, give Phil a
You feel
plug
a bit of a
as
plug?
well. And we may get him on the show to talk further about this because this is a great topic to chew on with an excellent physical therapist like Phil. But to give you I just got a reminder on my phone that it's my son's birthday today. I better give him a call. Um, my we'll share a little bit about our stories, but this conversation came off the back of a discussion with my father, my dear father, who's suffering a little bit at the moment. He's just had an operation on his heart to have a stent put in, and he's just been diagnosed with pericarditis and a couple of other things, and he's been in and out of hospital. He's 74, Rad, is that right?
75,
70,
just turned 75,
75.
I think.
And he's always been relatively healthy. His downfall is that he doesn't exercise. And he's been suffering from like a pretty severe back pain for quite a while now. And it's turned into like sort of sciatic pain down his leg and down his left side, and he's formed this limiting belief that exercise aggravates his back pain. And he's held on to that limiting belief for quite a while now, probably a decade, and it is causing quite a fast and severe downward spiral in his overall health. And the one thing that would really fix and solve everything, more powerful, 73%. I believe the scholars can correct that stat if they want, if I'm wrong, but I believe it's around that 73% more effective than any drug for cardiovascular disease is exercise. And I had an experience similar to this when I was a bit younger, before I became a personal trainer. Around the time that I actually became a personal trainer, I had fallen off a horse as a young boy and really badly hurt my back. A couple of what's referred to as spiral fractures, I believe, which is not a snap in the spine, but a compression fracture. And um, it just caused a series of really bad back pain from early childhood right through to my early 20s. It felt like anything I did could flare it up, and it was really nasty. And I formed this limiting belief around exercise that the big exercises like squats and deadlifts were out for me. Every time I tried them, it flared up my back pain and seemed to make things worse. And so I used to, the moment
Mm.
someone said, you really should learn how to squat or you really should learn how to deadlift, I'd say, no, I can't do that. That causes me really severe chronic back pain. And I know that Rad's had his history with back pain before. I'm not sure if Richie's ever experienced back pain before, but I know you've had all sorts of injuries. Richie's quite, if you, if,
Mild flare-ups, nothing too serious, like a spiral fracture to the vertebra. Jesus.
yeah,
But yeah, just minor flare-ups. But I'm pretty good with my back mostly.
Yeah, and so what we want to try to to outline what we're going to talk about today. What's happening, what I'm watching with my father. I've also seen with a lot of other people too, because back pain is really real. And before we dive into this and get really passionate about this and upset people, we want to make sure that everyone understands that Rad and I have both experienced severe and debilitating back pain, and we have as much as we seem like tough, hard nut, militant people pushing an agenda here to get you to exercise, we sympathize with you. If you are experiencing back pain right now, and it can be debilitating, it can, it can really, really affect your lifestyle. then we sympathize with you 100%. We've been there before and we know what it's like. And it is scary to embark on an exercise regime that, when done incorrectly, can feel like it in the short term make things worse. Now, Rad maybe wants to share a little bit, but I recall a period of time when Rad was needed a walking stick to walk because his back pain was so bad. And that's no BS. Do you want to share a little bit about your story, just so that people understand that you are sympathizing
Yeah,
with
I
them
was. I
before
mean,
you?
I was a teenager when that happened. I would have been. It was only shortly after we started martial arts, because I started kickboxing with Yanni when I was 17, and I didn't know what my back pain was back then. I now know that I've got spondylolisthesis and a pars defect, and they were diagnosed when I had a really bad fall in the army when I was serving overseas in East Timor as an infantry soldier. That's the first time I had scans on my back that revealed those things, and they couldn't tell me if they were an acute injury, meaning that it happened straight away, or if it was something that it was a birth defect or something that happened over time. They couldn't tell me that. But what I know is that when I was really young, so I would have been, I don't know, 19 or something like that, or 18. It was shortly after I got right into martial arts. Um, I injured my back training, and it hurt so bad that I remember at the worst of it, I was curled up on the couch on really strong painkillers, prescription painkillers, and I was almost crying for about 5 days. And then after that settled down, I had to walk around with a walking stick for weeks, like a walking stick, like an old person, when I was, almost 20. And that just turned into something that was really it's been with me for the rest of my life. But I've just been so fiercely determined to overcome it. And I saw so many sports masseuses and chiropractors for the next uh, 20 years, probably, until I was in my late 30s. But I exercised all the time as well. And that's one of the main reasons why I was able to deal with it. But I mean, this is another story, but one of the main reasons why Yanni and I were able to get over our back pain is because we developed the UMS, the Unified Movement System, which is what we teach people now with our online coaching app. And that was one of the it was one of the primary focuses of the development of the UMS, is that whenever we were training and we were writing programs, we were always like, we could recognize the pain in other people, in our clients, that they were dealing with, that we'd dealt with. And so we were able to help them really easily. And that kind of became something that our program was known for, was, helping people do more of what they love without being in pain. And so, yeah, we were able to not only overcome it, but get better as we aged. So for me now, personally, my story, I'm 44 now. I just had my 44th birthday, and my back pain it's just not even relevant. Like, what happens for me is, every day when I get up in the morning, for the first couple of minutes, it's actually really hard for me to bend over. Like, even just to put my pants on, like that action of lifting my leg up and getting my pants over
I
my
put
legs
my
is
pants
really,
on.
really tight in my lower back. What's that? What'd you say?
I'm just giving you, just stirring
It's
you,
but
mate.
it's very, very, it's very tight, and I have to move around and just get everything moving, because it all just locks up overnight, like when I sleep. But it's the movement and the exercise that's what keeps me going. And the whole purpose of this, if we've gone on a bit of a rant here, but why back pain can lead to early death. The whole point of it is that what we're seeing in our father now is that, for well over a decade, Dad's been complaining about back pain, and we've been trying so hard to just get him to understand that it is exercise that is the only thing that will give really long lasting results, and really change your life. There's just nothing else that's going to do it. And
Well, let me explain why. Let me explain why. And I really do want to go deeper with
well,
this.
hang on. If you
With
just let me finish my point before you explain why, and then the whole what that's leading to, that we're seeing and what we've seen in many other people, is, you know, your back pain prevents you from exercising, which is false. That's a false belief. It should be the reason why you exercise. But then that not exercising leads to other major health problems, which can cause an early death, because we know, like, there's just so much peer-reviewed research now. Like, if you don't understand that heart disease is one of the biggest killers and one of the best ways to prevent heart disease is exercise. So then if your back pain is preventing you from exercising, it can lead to an early death.
Well, this is it. I don't think anyone needs to be convinced that movement, exercise, getting the heart rate up, it doesn't have to be stupidly intense exercise like the type of stuff that we do, but you just need to be able to move. You need to be able to go for a walk every day.
You do
need to
intense
10,000
exercise. I
steps.
don't do intense exercise.
Well,
I do really cruisy stuff.
I'm doing not what we consider, but
I know what you mean.
what anyone
I know
else
what you
looks at us, they'll go, okay, that's intense exercise. Well, we're not sort of suggesting that, but no one is going to argue that if you don't move around and if you stay too sedentary, then you are going to experience an early death. That's just the reality. That's a fact of life, And what we're seeing is, and what we've seen over our 20-year careers as fitness professionals is that if you suffer extreme pain, and it can be pain, any pain is going to limit you. Back pain is the worst, because back pain is so central to the body, the central nervous system, that it really is the one thing. Like, if you're experiencing chronic shoulder pain, you can still get up and move around. If you're experiencing chronic knee pain, then usually you can still move around and do something. But with chronic back pain, often, like when it used to hit me, I used to just be in the fetal position on the floor, like it was just so bad. And it wasn't even comfortable to lay down on my back. And so I get what it's like. But the problem is that if that is something that you just start to manage through taking painkillers or whatever else, and form this limiting belief that you can't exercise because it's going to make it worse, which, trust me, I know, I get that. Uh, and sometimes in the very early stages of that exercise protocol, you may have to endure a little bit of discomfort. But what we do know is that if you do not get that exercise, the back pain is not going to get better. You might be able to manage it with dumping a lot of painkillers and things like that, like I used to, but it's never going to actually get better. It's never going to go away completely, like what Rad and I experience now. And your health is going to decline because you're not moving around, you're not exercising. And I'd love to have Phil on the show to talk about why it's so important, to overcome, go a little bit deeper into pain science and things like that. But the general gist of what that discussion, and we'll talk about it for half an hour tomorrow if people like, but the general gist in summary is that the only thing that turns that pain signal down, because the pain is a symptom of the brain, despite the fact that you experience it in your back, it's just a feedback loop, and your brain going, okay, there's something wrong down there. I need to minimize movement until we figure this out. And in order to do that, I'm going to make him experience immense pain. There may not even be severe tissue damage. I'm sure some of you can relate. One of the worst flare-ups I ever had was after I did a squat in the gym, and it was, we can talk about this later, but I was not ready to squat this sort of weight. I was inflexible. I was incapable. I hadn't learned how to do it properly, and I just threw myself into it, flared up, and I ended up in hospital. And I was sure there was going to be some sort of damaged tissue or a vertebra or something like that. And after an MRI, it revealed that there was really nothing wrong. Like, there was nothing. It was just inflammation. It was just a central nervous system symptom of pain. There was really not that much wrong. It's just that my body was not capable of doing what I was trying to do with it, and it was at risk of hurting something, and I'm sure some of you can relate. You feel like you're in so much pain, and then you go get a scan, and they're like, yeah, it's just sort of general wear and tear. There's nothing really acutely wrong here. And you're kind of disappointed. You're like, wow, the amount of pain I experienced, there should be something worse there, so you have to, I've forgotten where I was going with that. You have to understand that you don't, the only thing that's going to turn down that pain signal is getting stronger and getting more flexible and making your body more capable. And then in and of itself, the process of exposing yourself to those little bits of daily stress, exercise is a stress, irrespective of whether it's stretching exercises or strength training exercises, you're exposing yourself to little bits of stress and discomfort. And you of course have to moderate it and manage it so that it's just the right dosage for where you're at right now. and then it progressively increases or gets a little bit more difficult as your body becomes more attuned to it and adapts to it. But that's the only thing that's going to turn that pain signal down. And over time, it just gets so low that you sort of forget about it, like Rad and I. And if we went and got our scans done again, Rad has still got a pars defect. He's still got spondylolisthesis. That hasn't changed. But what's changed is his body's interpretation of how serious that is and how debilitating that is. And it's the same for me. My spine under an MRI still shows that it is compromised. It's got issues, but I don't experience pain associated with that anymore because my body has learned to accept it and go, okay, this is not actually dangerous. This is not, this is not a limiting physical situation. And I exercise and carry on as normal. The difference is I'm far stronger and more robust and more flexible than I was back then and far more capable. And so is Rad. And so what we have to do if you're experiencing back pain is get you from where you are, which we'll call A, to Z, which is no back pain whatsoever. And it's only the right support and program that's going to fill in the B to Y, X, Y, Z, to get you there. You can't jump from A to a compromised spine and limiting belief to Z, which is heavy weightlifting and running and exercise. You can't jump from A to Z. You have to fill in the gaps, and you need the right program, support, and coaching to get you there. And that's critical, because so many people do it wrong. And we had, was it Nilesh or Phil from ADPT Physio explained this so well. I love this. And they said, it's not the exercise that hurt you. It's how you got there. It's how you approached it. Did you do it too quickly? Did you do it too heavy? Did you try and do too much depth in the squat? That breached your flexibility capacity, your load capacity. For some people, a bilateral barbell squat is far beyond what you can do right now. And you need to sort of do single leg stability exercises that are going to really build up your core strength in the beginning. There's all sorts of different steps that we can fill in the gaps with along the way. It's just super important that you do something, that you adopt this mentality that no exercise is the worst possible outcome. The second to that is going under the knife and getting a disc fusion or something like that. I've seen that happen so many times, and it doesn't fix the problem. It's a lot of the time surgery isn't guaranteed to be a solution at all, and it can leave you worse off. And I can guarantee you that if you're not exercising and you go and have surgery, then you're probably going to need to exercise even more. So why not just start exercising now?
Even the
right level.
painkillers, the methods that people go to just reduce the pain sometimes don't even work. Like my grandmother's got terrible back pain as well, and she went and got a cortisone injection in her back, and it did nothing for her, and she still had to deal with it. So it's definitely a way to go about it.
I went through this, and I will comfortably admit publicly that it led to quite severe drug addiction, because in my early 20s, I was in so much pain every time I tried to exercise. And at that stage, the exercise I was doing was boxing. I was right into boxing. And most of the time it was okay. And that was my way of saying, okay, I'm compromised and I can't lift weights. So I'm just going to do a different form of exercise that suits me. But every once in a while, I'd do something that flared it up. And I'd be on really intense painkillers for a while, like opiate painkillers. And eventually they stop working. Like your body just builds up a bit of an immunity to it, I think, and then you look for the next thing because you need something more powerful. I had a talk with an old friend of ours, a mutual friend of Rad and mine recently, who's just gone in and had a hip replacement. And he, at our age, 44, he had an old football injury. He had a really bad spine. He's had a spine fusion operation, and he's just gone down this path of needing more powerful drugs to manage his pain, and he sort of reached out to me to see what I recommended. And the simple answer is that you've got to figure out a strategy of getting you from where you are right now, which is this compromised, limiting belief, severe pain state, to where Rad and I are now, which is exercising daily and having no fear of exercise whatsoever. In fact, adopting a mindset that it's actually critical for us. And it is. If I don't exercise, I start to experience issues with my back again. And same with Rad. It's the daily
It's the
dose of
only time I
movement.
get pain is when I don't
Yeah.
exercise.
I'm exactly the same. I can manage for about 2 weeks, and then it starts to creep back in again, and I start to stiffen up, and it's just it's so
It
black and
goes,
white
it
for me
goes,
now.
it goes back to the way that, like, it's an existential concept, and we have forgotten that we are animals, like any other animal on the planet, and like any other animal on the planet. If you look at life, life moves. This is probably a lot of people haven't heard of him, but this is, Ido Portal's whole big message and where it all comes from. Life is movement. Movement is what we're designed to do. And the problem is that in our modern day lives, we do so little of it. And in the absence of movement, pain and suffering are present. And when there's good, healthy movement, pain and suffering aren't nearly as, prevalent in your life. And so in the absolute least, that's why what we do and what we get people to do is this progressive way of exercising and moving that's just for an hour a day, but it covers all the main bases, which is strength, flexibility, and fitness. And it's done in a progressive way. And that's what it needs to be. So you might be thinking, well, how do I get from here to where I am? It's not something that happens like that. It's not something, and it's definitely not something that you can just step into the thing that your friend is doing at that level and expect that you're going to be able to be okay with it. That's where a lot of people go wrong, and a lot of people have bad experiences. They don't know what to do, so they go with their friend to the gym that's been training every day for 5 years, and they try and join in with their workout, and they get really turned off because they stuffed their back deadlifting, because their buddy was deadlifting, and so they jumped in, and their buddy said, "Oh, you should just try 50 or 60 kilos, or 120 or 140 pounds, whatever that is." And people stuff themselves. They've got no place deadlifting that much weight at all.
And then formulate the limiting belief that it was that
Yep. And
exercise.
that's how it all
Now,
happens.
and this is something that I think I just want to quickly share an analogy. Exercise is not an on-off switch. It's not that you're not exercising or exercising. It's not black or white. There's a lot of gray area that needs to be understood, because exercise it's a journey. It's a pathway of a series of stepping stones. And the first stepping stone is very subjective based on where you are right now. It's like any journey. Not everyone doesn't start from the same location. We all want to end in the same location, which is strong, flexible, fit, athletic, so we can do more of the things we love pain-free. That's the end destination. But the start of your journey may be very different to the person next to you or your friend who's already going to the gym. And what's key to a successful outcome, to reaching or achieving that destination that you want of more of the things you love. If you're a father like Rad and myself, you want to be able to play with your kids, and you want to know that you can jump around, lift them up, put them on your shoulders, and you're not going to experience back pain. All right. That's very simple for me. That's kind of it for me. I want to lead by example. I want my kids to look up to me. I like them knowing that I'm a very strong, powerful, accomplished person. And I want to be able to play with them without any fear of back pain, and I'm sure there's a lot of dads out there that can relate to that. But your first stepping stone is most likely going to be very different to the person at the gym who's a buddy of yours who said, "Yeah, come down and I'll show you what I do," And so you need to find a program, a method, a coach, maybe, supervision, someone who understands the journey and understands that the step one is different for everybody. The entry might be very, very gentle for you. It might be just going for a walk for 10 minutes, because that action of walking and moving the hips, moving the shoulders might be enough stimulus at this stage, Or you might be ready to jump right in and start doing barbell deadlifts. The journey must be suited. The first step of the journey must be suited to the individual and the starting point. And that's based on a whole host of factors that we can talk about when we get Phil on the show, But what's most important to understand is that choosing to do nothing and putting your head in the sand, or adopting the notion that exercise is the cause of your pain, is the worst thing you can do. Only slightly worse than choosing to go under the knife, in my opinion. And trust me, I've had many surgical interventions over the years, orthopedic surgery on my ankle, my knee. I've even had my hand repaired. Like there are times when you opting for surgery is a viable solution, but in most cases, it's the last option, way, way, way down the track from starting an exercise program. Okay. Anyway, we should probably bring this in for a landing so Richie can go and give some love to our coaching
Yeah, we
members.
got to go. I've got meetings as well. But look, hopefully you guys got something out of that. And if you have questions, ask us because we will answer them for you on the show. So put it in the
Yeah,
comments.
and I think I've got Phil coming on tomorrow. I want to chew on this a bit more with Phil from ADPT Physio because he loves this topic of pain science and this concept of the journey and what's going to be best for you and things like that. And let me be absolutely clear and let me finish on this note. You've got to find a way to overcome the limiting belief that what you're doing right now is the best course of action, or exercise is not good for you. And some of you might even be thinking, yeah, well, that sort of exercise, weightlifting, is not good for me. I just need to do reformer, Pilates, or this or that, and that might be right for the very first step, but it cannot be the limit, the be all and end all, because at some point your body will plateau, and you'll need stimulus to take you to the next step in the path. And if you stop, you'll eventually regress backwards. So you have to keep taking those steps forward. And it's a natural progression once you get it right. It feels right. It feels comfortable, and there is no pain associated with it. Anyway.
Yep.
Good
Absolutely.
discussion. You can
Makes
see
you
that
feel
we're
better.
very passionate about this. This show is obviously sponsored by the UMS app. If you want a really great progressive pathway that's done for you and laid out, that is a great option. And yeah, as you can see,
Less
we've got a
than
lot of
$2 a
passion on
day.
this. Less than $2 a day. That's right. All right, guys. We'll
All
see you
right, let's
tomorrow.
go. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another show. Hit us up with any questions that you've got, and we'll answer them for you on the show. Have a good one.
You guys.